Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I am super excited to bring you another easy mini album, and I will time it to see how many minutes it takes and put that in the description. But this mini album I designed so that it has balance, but there are still some pages that have a gusset in between, because if you know me, I like to have some space to put chipboard, veneer, layer up some things, put some ribbons or tags or you know, whatever you find on your travels. So let me show you this paper pack before I do the flip through for you. If you've watched some of my other videos, you might know that Stephen Duncan is my favorite paper designer, and he works for Carta. He has 5 or 6 lines that are Christmas, and this is my favorite one. He also does the Merry Christmas, Santa's Workshop, Christmas Cheer. I know there's something else that I'm not thinking of, but anyway, I just wanted to flip through this really fast. This is back out on the market this year, and like I said, it's my favorite Christmas line of paper. So Stephen Duncan does a lot of super retro looking mid-century modern type designs, and that paired with Christmas is totally my jam. So let me take you through it. And the stickers. Now I will go ahead and link this below in case you're interested in checking it out. Just a close-up of some of those smaller stickers. Okay, so here's our little book. Again, it's my favorite Christmas line. And really it's just covered with some of these, like I said, the 4x6s and some of the patterned paper. And it is pretty solid. And then, of course, I have the back cover. How cute is that thing? And then I did the just the side with a little piece of snowflake paper, and then some of the stickers, of course, using my fancy focal, use a circle punch behind whatever you put on the cover. So let me take you through how I made this. It was pretty easy once you kind of get the idea of it. So All right, so I thought I was recording, but you won't miss anything. I'm going back in time. I just hope I remember all of the things that I wanted to tell you. First, usually I use a 110-pound Neenah Exact Index cardstock. I talk about it in my description boxes because for card bases and for most mini albums, it is very, it's strong, it's stable, it's a great price point, and I suggest that if you want a 110-pound cardstock for your bases, check it out because the price point is lower than some of the other brands that that I see a lot of crafters use. This today is different though. This is a 67-pound Bristol vellum cardstock. This is the one that I've been using recently for colored pencils. I'm using this today because our little album has some areas that are stacking, and I didn't want it to get too thick or it to be too hard to fold these little pages. So using something lighter weight, and of course the Carta paper is pretty substantial, it is thick, and it's going to reinforce and stabilize all of our pages. So the other thing about this paper, the other thing about this book is that I'm going to do it 1 or 2 pages at a time. So I'm going to cut the page, score it, burnish it, glue it, and then, you know, move on to the next page. Usually I will do an assembly line fashion, which is cutting all of the pages, then scoring them all, and then gluing them all. But this just made a little more sense to me. The design at first might be a little, I wouldn't say confusing, but it's a little different for something that I do. But I think it's working out great. And if you stick through to the end and watch the whole thing, you won't be disappointed. I'm just going to go ahead and get started here by making my first cut. So we have 8.5 by 11, and we need this to be 8.5 by 6 1/4. So I happen to have my scoreboard here that goes to 6 1/4 from the cut line to the end of the platform ruler here. It's 6 1/4, so I'm just going to cut that down. Set this aside. Don't do anything with it yet because we're going to use it. Then I'm going to go ahead and take this piece. I'm going to score it at 4 1/4 on the long side. So this is 8.5. We're going to score it in half at 4 1/4. You'll see I'm using my little scoreboard today, and it's gray. The numbers aren't very prominent here, so I marked where 4 1/4 and 5.5 are already for making card bases. So there's that. Just going to go ahead and fold that. Our middle page is ready. And we're going to take our next sheet and we're going to do the same thing. 8.5 by 11. I'm going to cut it down to 8.5 by 6 1/4. So same thing, 6 1/4. Again, set this one aside, we need it, and score this down the middle. So far, not very exciting. So we have these 2 pages. These are going to be our middle pages. We're going to glue them together, and it's not going to be fancy. I imagine if you wanted to staple these, you could do that. But I am just going to go ahead, take my art glitter glue, run a bead down the very middle of this page where it's scored, and I just kind of flip it open but not completely flat, because then I can just kind of rest my glue bottle in the spine here, or in the fold, and get it pretty well straight line for the most part. And we're just going to take this guy and glue him in. The one thing you want to look out for, though, is once you get it kind of set into that score mark, you want to kind of tap it down from the top and the bottom, make sure they're even, but then you want to go ahead and open it right back up. So what you don't want is a bunch of glue to smush out this side and you have 2 pages instead of 4. So just make sure that you have it snug in there, and that, you know, at the top and the bottom it's meeting. And I did not have this problem earlier. Just hold that down for a second. Okay. All right. Ready to go. Okay. So put this aside. Now, the next thing we're going to do is we are going to take these 2 pieces of cardstock. These are the remnants of sheet 1 and sheet 2. And we are going to cut these down to 6 1/4. So see, you have, here you have the 2 pieces, and I do each separately. Again, our pages are 6 1/4 by 4 1/4. And this is because I designed this to highlight the 6 by 4 cut-aparts that are in the paper pad that I have. And so what we're going to do is, of course, we're going to make our first score mark at 4 1/4, because that's how large our page is going to be. And then we're going to make another one at 4 1/2. And we're going to do the same thing over here. Score at 4 1/4. Score at 4 1/2. So now what we're going to do is match these 2 up, and you can do this now or you can go ahead and burnish them. I like to burnish them before gluing them together, just to make sure they kind of nestle in. I don't know why I'm using my finger when I have a tool here. Okay, so we have our 2 pages, and basically they have 1/8 of an inch, that's not right, 1/4 of an inch gusset and 1/4 of an inch tab. So we're going to glue these 2 together just like this. And let's see here. Ooh. Now, you don't want to underglue this, but the lightest amount of glue you can get away with is great for this particular book. So there's that. Go ahead and give it a good burnish here. If you're so inclined, you can go ahead and cut off one of these tabs. We really only need one of them, but that sounds like work, so I'm going to go ahead and glue the tabs together. Now I did this just to make it a little easier. I started with the gusset, glued that together, gave it a second to sit, and that way I knew that that was even, or at least even-ish, before I glued the whole thing together. That just makes it easier in case I make a mistake. And then once you get these glued, you do kind of want to give it a second and burnish the score line again, because the glue, between the glue and the paper, it kind of will just make your crease a little less creasy. So, got that. And so the first thing that we're going to do here is so we have that. Next thing we're going to do is glue our 4 sheets onto this tab. We're not going to glue it onto the gusset that we created, so there's still that 1/8" gusset there. Or I keep saying 1/8. This 1/4" gusset, we're going to glue it onto the 1/4" tab. So all I'm going to do is put a line of glue on this tab. I'm going to take our folded sheets of paper, make sure the fold is in, and line those up. And then just pull it up, make sure it's even on the top and the bottom, and then I'll go ahead and kind of push it down this way and burnish it. So now you see we have our 4 pages and our 2 pages with 1/8 inch gusset. Next thing we're going to do is take piece of paper number 3, and we are going to cut it down to 6 1/4, and make sure that you make these last 3 cuts, or these last 3 pages, you want to make the cuts in the same direction that I do. So this one is like a soy dog. You want to do the long way. So we have 6 1/4 here, and we're going to cut it down so that we have 2 pieces that are 5 inches. So there's 1, and there's 2. We are pretty much going to do the same thing here. I'm going to put these in our scoreboard. Again, our pages are 4 1/4 wide, so we are going to score at 4 1/4. And then we're going to score at 4 3/4. Oops. Mashed it a little bit there. Same thing with this one. 4 1/4. and 4 3/4. Go ahead and score and burnish. Go ahead and fold and burnish all of your lines there. And this is the same thing that we did last time, just the dimensions are a little different. Now that I have all of my folds folded and burnished, I'm just going to take these two, I'm going to glue them together, and again I'm just going to start with this gusset. I'm just going to do the gusset first, that way if I'm off a little bit I have I don't have to pull all of it apart. So just lift that up and mash it in there a little bit. So now that we've got our next piece, what we're going to do is set that down for a second. It's not going to stay. Ooh, it's staying. Okay. And what we want to make sure is that we have our 4 middle pages here. And we have the 2 pages that we just added on. These 2 pages go on the other side. So 2, 4, 2. And we're just going to glue it to this tab just like we did last time. So I'm just going to put a bead of glue on the tab. Going to make sure I have my 4 pages in the middle, my 2 pages on the outside, and I'm going to just set this right in there so that the tab attaches to the back of that page right at that seam. Now, that I've got that burnished and given it a second to adhere, I'm going to go ahead now and glue the gusset portion. And that just goes like that. If you want, you can open this up to where that other gusset is. Just mash that down a little bit. Okay. Next page is almost exactly the same. I'm going to do another soy dog cut on this guy at 6 1/4. However, this time we are going to cut our pieces to 5 1/4 by 5 1/4 or 5 1/4 and 5 1/4. So that gives us 6 1/4 by 5 1/4. And we're going to go ahead and score these as well. Pretty much the same way. Our pages are 4 1/4 inches, so we're going to start there. And then we're going to score at 5. Again, I'm going to burnish all of our score lines. And again, we're going to glue them together, one section at a time. Go ahead and glue this now. Little tab. Oops. Also going to get glue everywhere, I guess. So there's that. Now I gotta clean my desk when I'm done. All right, so now we're going to do the same thing. We have our 4 sheets, 2 sheets, and 2 sheets. So our book is balanced at this point, but we're going to take this one and pick a side. I'm going to pick this side, and I'm going to go ahead and glue this down. I think what I'm going to do this time is I'm going to go ahead and glue the gusset. I think that you just want to work with one section, whether it's the gusset or the tab, at a time when you're doing this piece. So I'm going to put it in that little score line. Try to get it down there. Also go ahead and open up to the last gusset. Give that a good burnish. And now go ahead and glue down this tab. That glued down. Just gonna flip it open. Finish that, and to kind of work it flat here again. All right. So this is our last piece, piece number 5. We're going to do another hot dog cut, and we are going to do it at 6 1/4. This time we want 2 pieces 5 1/2. So 5 1/2, 5 1/2. Ha! It's already at 5 1/2. Because it's an 11-inch piece of paper. So, same thing. We're going to score first at 4 1/4 because our pages are 4 1/4 long. And then we are going to score at 5 1/4. So you can see that this last little bit here is a 1-inch gusset. This way. And so this really gives us the opportunity to create a mini album like I did last time with the 12 by 12, but using 8 1/2 by 11 paper. Just going to go ahead and burnish. One more. Again, I'm going to glue my things together here. Line them up. Give that a second. Go ahead. I'm gonna go ahead. Clear this tab shut. And we're ready to put on the last 2 pages of our book. So here's another time, these last pages, when you have to pay attention to the orientation of your existing book, because we have our 4 middle sheets here. So this is the 2 pages that we glued together for the 4 sheets, the very first section that we started with. And then we have 2 sheets and 2 sheets here. We have 2 sheets here, so we want this to end up on this side. Easy peasy. So I'm gonna go ahead, put some glue, in the spine. Open up those 3 existing gussets, burnish those down, and then I'm just going to go right over here and glue down this tab. So that's it, my friends. We have a pretty well balanced book now. And so 5 sheets of 8.5 by 11 gave us 12 pages, and those pages mean we're going to need 24 pieces of 4 by 6 designer cardstock or photo mats or whatever you want to make to cover this up. So I think that my goal of creating a bunch of pages, but then having some that have a good amount of room in between, so a gusset, but also be well balanced, was kind of achieved in this little book. And I think going with the 67-pound cardstock for this rather than my usual 110 really worked out. This was a 80-pound, and these kind of creases and things were kind of really hard to get back into order after I glued everything together, but this one looks like it is going to stay and be pretty happy. So thanks for watching another video. Don't forget to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell so that you know when I load new videos, but also when I go live. Please comment if you're interested in me doing this in more of a assembly line fashion. I'm happy to do that. I hope you're enjoying all of the Christmas and July videos. I am enjoying them a bunch. I'll see you in the next one. Don't forget, safety first.